Hello friends, welcome to yet another session on essay perspectives. The topic for today is one has to lose one's way to find oneself. As always, I have a personal request. Third edition of my book Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude has unfortunately been pirated. I urge all the readers to buy original. Unfortunately, pirated copies are of very low paper and print quality. So original copies can be bought from the seller from by scanning the QR code on the screen or by clicking on the link given. So every essay has to be first conceptualized as being made of various components and subcomponents. So this essay we would first introduce, then we would dwell upon the essence of the topic, then we would dwell upon the dimensions of finding oneself, then the merits of losing one's way, then we would introduce an element of criticality, critical analysis into the essay when we try to explore the answer for the question if one should always lose way, and then we would conclude. Friends, as soon as I saw this topic, I was reminded of the character Farhan Qureshi from the movie Three Idiots. So, as all of us are aware, if you recollect from the movie, Farhan was passionate about wildlife photography. But, however, he was forced to get into engineering. So where he struggles to excel in the field of engineering, because the only reason being his heart always heart always wanted to pursue a career in wildlife photography. So then what was one thing that Farhan had to do to discover himself? So Farhan had to quit the placements, and then he had to take up an internship with renowned wildlife photographer. Here, so let us try to relate that incident to our essay topic. See, here Farhan was cruising through a particular way. He was going through a particular way. That means, like everyone else, he also studied, and then he appeared for 12th. Then he wrote an entrance exam like everyone else, at least most of us. So he also took a seat in prestigious engineering college, and then he started focusing on his studies. Correct. This was his actual way. This was his that was how his life was going on. Then at some point of time he realized that he could not excel in engineering. So it's a different story that it was Ranchod Das who made him realize it, that's immaterial for us, but nonetheless, so basically he was going through his own particular way, so he had to lose his way. That means he had to take a deviation. He could not continue in the same path which he traveled all these days. So he had to lose a way, and he had to search for a new way. New way was absolutely unclear. It was very obscure, to be very precise, because so he did not know how to have a career. He did not know how an internship with a renowned wildlife photographer would pan out for him, for his career, for his life. He was not aware. So but still he had the conviction that if he took this detour, if he if he choose the decision to lose this particular way and then take an obscure way, then he would discover himself. What is mean by discovering himself? Then he would realize, he would be able to realize his own potential. He would be able to realize what he was meant to be, what his talents were meant to be. Correct. So he had to discover himself. For him to discover himself, he could not continue in this way. He had to lose a way and then choose an obscure path. So thus this essay seeks to explore whether one should have to necessarily tread an unconventional path, take unconventional decisions in order to realize their self. Okay, after introducing the topic, it is time for us to delve upon the essence of the topic. There are essentially two key phrases in this topic. One is losing way, second one is finding oneself. So first let us try to understand the meaning of losing way. So what is way? Here way represents a particular way of life or a particular set of decisions and particular set of behaviors which are normally exhibited by any individual. So whatever decisions that are taken ordinarily, normally by any individual in the normal course of life is what we call a particular way of life. Correct? So that may mean decisions, that may mean behaviors, that may mean actions, that may mean opinions, whatever. So there's a particular way in which everyone does that. You also do that and you close that. Correct? So that is actual way of life. What do you mean by losing way of life? Sorry, losing way. Losing way means you try to take some unconventional decisions. You try to travel in an unconventional path, either to not trodden by you in particular, not many in general. Correct? So that is losing way. So rather than doing the same set of actions which everyone does ordinarily and normally in general course of life, in normal course of life, you would stand up and say, no, I would not undertake those actions, I would not take those decisions, I would not exhibit those behaviors, but I would try to take an altogether different path. I would try to take altogether unconventional decisions. I would try to exhibit altogether unconventional behaviors. So then if a person decides to do so, then you can safely call him to have lost the way. Correct? So that is actually loaded with a lot of positive sentiment. Then what do you mean by finding oneself? Finding oneself, that means discovering oneself. That means discovering who you are, discovering who one is. So what do you mean by discovering who one is? A person self represents a collection of opinions, collection of interests, collection of desires, collections of aspirations, collection of motives that would give him or her a peace of mind, and even collection of strengths, weaknesses. So this is what makes up a person, right? Who are you? If somebody poses that question, who actually you are? You are nothing but the collection of your opinions. You are nothing but the collection of your interests, tastes, ambitions, aspirations, strengths, weaknesses, etc. So, thus, finding yourself. That means knowing what kind of strengths, weaknesses, opinions, perspectives, attitudes that a particular person has, and also knowing what actions, what behaviors, what decisions would provide solace to a particular person. Solace, I mean, is peace of mind. Correct? So that means if you want to find yourself, what do you mean by finding yourself? That means first finding yourself means you will first understand your strengths, weaknesses, opinions, perspectives, etc., etc. This is one dimension. The second dimension is you would also try to understand your aspirations, ambitions, interests, etc., etc. That would give you peace of mind. That would give you solace. So that is what your heart wants. So your heart's calling. So that is finding yourself. So now let us try to bring these two phrases together. So one, the essay essentially argues that in order to realize and recognize a person's strengths, weaknesses, opinions, perspectives, etc., and to also realize that what kind of aspirations, ambitions, interest and all would give a person, a particular person, peace of mind, then for a person to realize that, recognize that a person has to necessarily take up unconventional decisions, exhibit unconventional behaviors. Okay, so let me simplify. In order for a person to understand what his strengths and weaknesses are, and to also understand what his or her heart really wants, then a person has to take unconventional decisions, has to exhibit unconventional behaviors. So this is the statement of this essay. Now let us explore to what extent this relationship between finding yourself and losing way are true. So now, after exploring the meaning, essence of the topic, then it is time for us to jump to the next component, that is essentially the various dimensions of losing away. What do you mean by losing away? So we'll try to explore. The first one is taking up a random new vocation. Okay, friends, I have consciously and carefully chosen these words, random and new. See friends, if you plan something and go there and take up something, then perhaps it is actually going through the prescribed way. But taking up something random new vocation means you are not planning it. You are just trying your options. You try to do this, you try to do that, etc. So this actually happens by many businesses. Some people who really want to come up in life, come up in business, may not, if they don't have an established business with them, what they do, they try to touch upon various businesses randomly. If they get to know that a particular travel business is there, they try to invest that money. Then after some time they realize that there is, the hotel business is good. Then they switch to hospitality. Then after some days, somebody would tell them that hospitals, healthcare is remunerative. Then they try to switch to healthcare. So you see, they try to take up a new vocation randomly. So because then once they start doing one after the other, at some point of time they realize that, so this is my cup of tea, this is not my cup of tea. Then once they realize that a particular thing is their cup of tea, then they go deeper into it and they themselves establish themselves to be a tall leaders in that particular field. Correct. So there are many people, if not businesses also, there are many people who try working in various domains. Correct. So all of us have come across such people. Before they finally settle, they would say, I was doing that for a few days, then I was doing this for a few days, then finally I found this to be good and then I settled here. Correct? That is first thing. That is a way in which you try to explore yourself, or you try to lose your way. Then random new hobby. So what is this random new hobby? Vocation was a formal thing that you do, and the second thing is random new hobby. So that means you for a few days you try to learn painting. After a few days you suddenly realize that you want to practice writing in left hand. Maybe you are a right hander all these days, maybe you want to learn to write it in the left hand. Then you start doing it. Then after a few days, then you would find that you would get inspired by a few short clippings, reels on Instagram. Then you try to test your creativity abilities there and you try doing it for a few days until you find the whatever you start doing, if you get immersed into it, if you feel that this is for me, I'm getting a lot of peace of mind by doing this, then perhaps you would continue to explore various things. So thus the second dimension is taking up a random new hobby. While vocation is a formal one, hobby is an informal one. Then taking up whatever comes your way. See, this is important. You may wonder, what do you mean by whatever comes in one's way? That means rather than having any plan, so you try this is just a continuation of taking up new hobby, taking up new vocation. So you don't say no to anything. Don't say no to anything. That means, let us say you are a civil servant. Okay, so you have so many visitors coming. Okay, one visitor would come and say, sir, this is the problem. You don't brush it aside, then you keep that. Someone, I mean, okay, let me make it more specific for you. So let us say you are a civil servant heading a health department, correct? Then some WHO person who comes and says, sir, I think we should educate, we should focus more on preventive actions. So that would happen only through IEC activities. So we should focus more on creating awareness amongst public about a few particular habits, then so that the incidence of diseases would come down. Then you said, excellent, let us try it, please come up with a plan. Then suddenly after then UNESCO guy comes, or UNICEF guy comes, sorry. Then he would say malnutrition is the major problem for all the illnesses. So we should have a targeted approach to give some nutritional supplements, etc., to the children, and ensure that they are fed properly and they turn out to be healthy and in future, so that would reduce the disease burden. You said that is also excellent, let's do that. So that means you are not carried by any prejudice, any preconceived notion. Whatever comes in your way, you take it up. Then finally, over a period of time, you realize whether option A works or option B works. Until you try, you don't know. So, but let us say, if you are going in the same proper way, then this is government anyway has some policies. So these are anyway not the part of government policies. Then let me not do it. You will keep aside. So that's not the way. So if you want to do something good, so you should start accepting whatever that comes in your way. Then a random new way of doing a common thing. So that means there is a way in which anything can be done. Okay, but sorry, there are multiple ways in which a particular thing can be done. You try exploring new things. One day you are a civil servant and or you are a CEO of a company. One day you decide to call a meeting of everybody and then try to give them targets and check their performance. Then the next day, or maybe this you do it for 1 week, every day you call all your executives and then give them some daily targets or give them some briefing, and then find out their performances periodically, review their performance periodically, whatever. Then after a few days you realize that calling people physically doesn't make any sense. Then you would say, let me just speak to them over phone or send them a mail. Correct? So there are multiple ways. See, finally the communication has to go. Whether you call them physically or contact them over phone or WhatsApp doesn't matter much. So you try to try to do a particular thing in different ways. So randomly, until you realize you decide, you realize that this is that golden rule that would work, golden strategy that would work. Then consciously staying away from normal. This is extremely important. So everybody is doing this way, I will also do this way. Then that means you are not losing yourself, your way. So you have to first lose your way. Then if you want to lose your way, then when whatever everyone is doing, you are also doing that. Then you would also land up in the already established results, which everyone who is in the same way are enjoying, perhaps. So then you should be very careful. No, you should be consciously think that no, this is how it has been done. Maybe I want to try something new, something in a different way. So consciously you should stay away from normal. Then read random books. This is extremely important. Very, very. I'll tell you. A person. See, everybody has a particular genre of books, genre of movies, right? That means some people read fiction, some people read non-fiction. Even in non-fiction, people will have various interests. So a few people read romantic novels, a few persons, individuals would prefer to read only thrillers. Correct. Similarly, in non-fiction, one set of people may prefer. A particular person may prefer only books on self-help books. Someone else may read more on international relations. So, etc., etc. But that is following the normal way. When will you break the ice and follow the lose the way to do something better? That will happen only when you start reading books randomly. That means today I read one self-help book, tomorrow I read some history book, day after tomorrow I read some book on polity, day after tomorrow I read a book on philosophy. So cutting across many disciplines, if you start reading the book, then that means you are getting lost. Then finally you would land up, you would realize what you want in some other discipline. Okay. Then conversing with random people. So that means strike conversations with people randomly. You are going, you are traveling by metro. Maybe one day a banker is sitting next to you. Just strike a conversation with him. How is inflation? How are loan rates? So is it really good to borrow loan, or what are the different loan products, etc., etc. Next day you have an investment advisor. Speak to him about how the risks associated with investment in stocks, mutual funds, systematic SIP, etc., etc. The third day you have a chef sitting next to you. Speak to him about how his prospects are, how are people, how does he explore new recipes, and since everybody's taste buds are different, how would he try to satisfy every taste bud? Why not? If you keep randomly striking conversations with random people from various walks of life, then it is like losing way. That would actually help you at some point of time to realize. See, I'm just reminded of one of the talks in which Harsha Bhogle, the famous cricket commentator, would say that initial days when he started his cricket commentary, so he was learning from those cameramen, groundsmen who used to keep the stadium clean, neat for match. So thus you have to strike conversation with random people to learn things. Then why should one lose away? What are the merits associated? The first thing is new opportunities. Friends, when you explore new things only, when you lose way only, then you suddenly you hit a gold mine. Correct? So you don't know. You try business 1, it doesn't work out. Try business 2, it doesn't work out. Try business 3, it became successful. So that's why even that is the whole concept behind many investors who try to, equity funds, they try to invest in various kinds of businesses because they are in search of gold mine. They don't know when that gold mine would come. Correct? So they keep trying. So that means losing away would help you create or lay your hands on new opportunities. Next is self-assessment. Friends, when you are following an established path, then you would not assess yourself much because your abilities and all, see there are established standards. You do like this will come out. So you do this, you come out. Your abilities of taking decisions, taking risk and all would not get tested if you follow the conventional path. So then while you do it unconventional, you treat an unconventional path, then your ability to absorb failures, your ability to raise from failures, your ability to inspire people, your ability to manage change, your ability to make people accept your philosophy, all these things are put to constant test. So that would actually give you a lot of assessment about yourself. Correct? So okay, this is what I am. I'm good at this, I'm bad at this, I'm good at communication, but I'm very bad at math. So something like that. Then less competition. This is very important and interesting. Friends, the conventional route is always overcrowded because that's an established thing, so everybody tries to take that route. But there may be a gold in an unconventional route which very few people do it because it is not easy to lose weight. It's very difficult, it's associated with a lot of risks. So then in such scenario there is less competition, that means more possibility of success. So it is very important. I am reminded of the example of Michael Dell, the founder of Dell Computers. Friends, when every computer manufacturing company at that point of time was actually doing the conventional business of manufacturing its own computers, and it used to have its own standards. Matlab, this much memory, this much processing speed, this hardware, etc., etc. They used to package a product and then they used to give it to the customer. Customer had to buy whatever that was offered. It was only Michael Dell, who thought, why should I decide the need of customer? Why should I not customize the specifications for a particular various customers? Then he started coming up with various specifications. So customizations. So you want this much memory, I will manufacture a computer, laptop, whatever, computer for this and then give it to you. If you want a higher memory, for you it is higher memory. Your friend wants a lower memory. You want a graphic card, you will get. The next person without, may not need it and you would not get. Then also he started door delivery or shipping computers through parcel services, correct? So that means he lost way and he was trying to find a new way, and we know the history. So he struck a gold mine. So even today the company adheres to the same philosophy. And then friends of same mindset. Friends, when you lose way, then you try to come across people with similar intent. Because following a conventional way, by and large people have the same interest. People have varied interests. But when you lose way, very few people take the decision and go. Then you try to meet those people. So that means you start learning from them. There is mutual learning. There is synergy in your efforts. Finally, both of you will grow. Then first mover advantage. So that means since this is a unconventional way, no one has done, you do it for the first time. By the time everybody comes, you would have skimmed the market and you would have taken a market share which cannot be touched so easily by others. Correct? It's a very, very, very important thing. Then the last thing is chance factor of striking gold. So that means, friends, when you are doing things randomly, that means the chances of striking gold is very high. If you travel in the same path, you as everyone else, perhaps you would come across the same opportunities which everyone else is also exposed to. You would come across the same facilities, amenities which everyone else is exposed to. But if you take an unconventional path, then there may be gold there and you would strike the gold. And the chances of striking gold increases because no one has seen that. As always, friends, we have to write a very critical essay. So it is time for us to stop and counter our own arguments. Okay, now we have argued that it is essential, it is important for a person to lose one's way to find oneself. But now we are countering ourselves to say, if one should always lose one's way to find oneself, the answer is not necessarily, friends, not necessarily. There are some scenarios, especially these two scenarios which I can think of, wherein you need not have to lose way to find yourself. The one is self-contemplation. You should keep contemplating yourself. That okay, whether this is suitable to me, that is suitable to me, what actually normally in course of time I get excited about, motivated about, etc., etc. So that self-contemplation is essential. That self-contemplation would help you to stay on the conventional path and yet find yourself. Friends, the best example is ancient socio-religious reformers or ancient religious scriptures prescribed an individual to embrace the life of an ascetic in order to attain deliverance or liberation, whatever you call it. But as time passed by, so many social religious reformers started advocating for continuing the life of a family man, or continuing your family life, and yet seek deliverance or liberation. Correct? So that is the objective of self-contemplation. So you can still stay in the normal life yet achieve deliverance. So that happens only through self-contemplation. Correct? Second thing is learning from others. That means, friends, we need not have to always commit a mistake and learn from it. We can very well learn from others' mistakes also. So if you keep your eyes and ears open, then perhaps even without losing a way, yet you will be able to find yourself. Correct? So these are two important scenarios. Now, after this elaborate discussion, it is time for conclusion. From the above discussion, we can comfortably conclude that a person should be ready, bold enough to take unconventional decisions. Should be able to tread an unconventional path in order to find himself. However, in some scenarios where he is constrained to go away from the conventional path, then in such scenarios he should embrace the mantras of self-contemplation and learning from others in order to realize his true potential. Okay friends, let's meet next week with another topic. Thank you.